This is a 1983 Chevrolet El Camino. It has a stock 305 cubic inch engine, also referred to as a 5.0 liter V8. If you may have not known, as you can see, the engine is blue, and that is not painted. For specific years of the El Camino, they were indeed blue. It is equipped with a turbo 350, which is a 3-speed automatic transmission. For those of you who are not very familiar with automobiles/vehicles and engines, I will point a few things out for you. With this little guidey stick thing that you want to call it, at the top of the engine where it is making contact with, it is an air cleaner. This filters the air as it is pulled in the engine. The purpose of that is to clean air so dust, debris, stuff like that doesn't get into the engine to help extend the life of the engine. Underneath the air cleaner of the vehicle of this age, we have a carburetor. Now if it was an 85, 86, or 87, it would have a fuel injection kit. On this particular car, it has a 4-barreled carburetor. When you are just cruising around, you're operating off the 2 front smaller barrels of the carburetor. When you put the pedal to the metal, it opens all 4 barrels. When it opens all 4, the 2 larger ones are referred to as the secondaries. That's when you're really dumping some fuel and getting your boogie on. This is where the alternator is on this particular vehicle. The engine spins a belt which is connected to the alternator. By doing so, it creates a current which will charge the battery. This is where the air conditioning compressor is located on this particular vehicle. A belt connected to the engine also runs the air compressor. The air conditioning compressor also has a clutch on the front of it. The clutch works by applying voltage to an electromagnet. This allows the AC compressor to be turned on or off. On this particular engine, this is where the power steering pump is located. It's also driven with a belt connected to the engine. The power steering pump uses hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid is pressurized and then is sent through the hose goes to the steering box, which assists in turning the steering wheel easier. In turn, if you didn't have that, it will make it much harder to turn the steering wheel. Then the fluid is sent back to the pump. When it's sent back, it will go through the cycle all over again. In the front center of the engine, that's where the water pump is located. It's also driven by a belt which is connected to the engine. The water pump will circulate coolant, which is sent through the radiator. As it goes to the radiator, it is cooled and then sent to the engine. This is necessary to keep the engine at the correct operating temperature. This is the radiator. In simple terms, it can be described as a heat exchanger. The outside air passes through the radiator core, which extracts heat from the coolant before it goes back to the engine block. A vehicle of this vintage has a manual fuel pump. The camshaft, it has a lobe on it, which you can describe it being shaped as an egg. As it turns, it pushes a lever on the fuel pump up and down. That's what pumps the fuel from the fuel tank to the fuel pump to the carburetor. This here is a Radiator Cooling Fan. It extracts the heat from both the radiator and the AC condenser. This particular one has what's referred to as a clutch fan. This one is thermostatically controlled. When the coolant in the radiator becomes hot, it will pass over the clutch fan. It will then engage the clutch fan, which allows it to pull its maximum amount of airflow. After the air flowing over the radiator is cooler, it will then release the clutch. It helps aid in better fuel mileage. It also helps reduce noise. In an older car of this age, you will have a distributor. This is a distributor. This is a Chevrolet HEI distributor. It has an electronic ignition and the coil built into the top of the cap. These are the spark plug wires. This particular vehicle, being a V8, has 8 of them. There is no additional coil wire since the coil is built into the cap. This is the battery. It's responsible for powering the car and providing power to all the car's electronics. It also provides power to the starter motor, which starts the engine. The starter motor is located right here down at the bottom of the engine. Since this is a V8, it has 2 exhaust manifolds. The other one is on the opposite side. The exhaust manifolds take the exhaust gases and allow them to pass through the tailpipe. This is the coolant reservoir. It holds extra engine coolant. This is the windshield wiper fluid reservoir. It holds windshield wiper fluid. This is what operates the brakes. This is the brake fluid reservoir. This is the brake master cylinder. There's a piston inside of it which creates pressure when you press the brake pedal. This is the power brake booster. There is a diaphragm inside of it, which operates off of engine vacuum. This is often referred to as power brakes. It makes the brake pedal easy to push. These are your heater hoses. It allows hot air to come inside the car, which allows you to be comfortable in the winter. This is the air conditioning accumulator. It basically stores refrigerant. This is where you would charge the system on the low pressure port. This is what's referred to as an Egr valve. Egr stands for exhaust gas recirculation. It is a device that is federally mandated by the government. It serves absolutely no purpose and it will harm your engine's performance. Only this, but over time it will clog up with carbon deposits. At that point you will have to remove it and clean the carbon, or you'll even have to possibly replace it. This is the cruise control diaphragm. It allows the cruise control to work on a vehicle. It is operated off of the engine's vacuum. It holds your throttle open at a predetermined location. This is also part of the cruise control system. This is the windshield wiper motor. It's operated from the car's electrical. It allows the windshield wipers to operate. It is connected from the motor to the wiper arms by that rod. This is a charcoal canister. The charcoal canister absorbs raw fuel vapor from your fuel tank. Once the gasoline fumes go into the canister, they are then sucked into the intake manifold of the engine, which to be burned into the engine. That way we don't have raw fuel vapors going into the atmosphere. Raw fuel vapors, they contain hydrocarbon, which is dangerous to the ozone layer. This is the crankshaft of the engine. It is located at the center bottom of the engine. The pistons and the connecting rods are connected to the crankshaft. All of the belts from all of the other accessories are connected to the crankshaft. The crankshaft is responsible for turning all of the accessories. The top of the engine on each side are the engine cylinder heads. They contain the intake and the exhaust valves. They are what allows air to come into the engine and exhaust to come out of the engine. They are actuated by push rods. They are operated by the engine's camshaft. The other end is what is connected to rocker arms. Those are what actuate the valves. Camshaft is driven by a timing chain at the front of the engine. The timing chain is connected to the crankshaft. It is extremely important that the timing of the engine all set correctly, so that the pistons, the valves, the distributor, all in unison. If you enjoyed this video and would like me to make future videos of other automobiles, possibly fuel injected, then please leave a comment. This is an old school hood ornament. They don't quite make it like these anymore. What I mean is, you can freely move it. I am then going to start the engine for you so you can hear it.